All right, happy days and fun times. I've actually, at the very last part of this Python for DevOps book, I looked at the data of my views, which uh, kind of weren't accurate because I had a goofy outfit on and a goofy mustache and goofy glasses and messy room and weird lighting. So that's probably why this series got so much views, not so much the content of it. But I did receive some good comments on it. It's and the book itself, especially the first part, I found to be like pretty good. The middle, I found to be pretty bad. There were a lot of technical examples that either just didn't work or that required special access that the authors have and you don't, unless you want to pay a lot. So technical examples I find usually aren't that fun to read about in books. So I really didn't like the middle part, but this last part has been great. They have interviews with professionals, and that actually has been great. And I've been adding some people on LinkedIn as a result, and kind of ginning up some old connections, doing some networking stuff, and I feel like this last part of the book is pretty good. So I'm gonna finish it off. This next section is recommendations. All the models are wrong. All models are wrong, but some are useful. Yep, and audio looks good. Certainly applies to any general piece of advice on DevOps. Some elements of my analysis will be absolutely wrong, but some of it will be useful. It is impossible that my own personal bias doesn't play a role in my analysis. Despite being potentially wrong in some of my analysis and being very biased, there are clearly some urgent issues to fix in the management of most companies. Some of the highest priority issues are: number one, status differences have led to accountability problems, with software stability being a highly visible example. Engineering managers, especially startup founders in general, need to acknowledge how informal status closure affected software quality and fix it. And I feel like a good example of this is the permissions of a of your infrastructure. If you assign those based on just the status, like, oh, the boss and the CEO have privilege 15 on your router, that's not going to work. You need to give privilege 15 to the people who use privilege 15. It's not a status symbol to have administrative permissions on an application. It's a tool, basically. The permission settings are tools, and you should use the right tool for the job, and you should make sure that your tools don't malfunction. So you shouldn't give somebody a jackhammer if they're trying to do is pound in a nail. So you shouldn't just give full permissions to everyone, but if the jackhammer is a nicer tool, you shouldn't give it to the CEO of the construction company. You should give it to the worker that needs to use it to break up the concrete. Just because it's a higher status tool doesn't mean it's not a higher status tool. It's a working man's tool. It's not meant for a CEO. So to conflate status with conflate status in your tools with like their functionality is really bad. And more broadly and in general, to have a lot of status differences with software stability be visual examiners need to acknowledge how informal status closure affected software quality. Yeah, so you need to actively seek out instances where I have a higher status. I'm the founder of this company. This person's the engineering manager. So therefore, we didn't give somebody of a lower status what they needed to succeed in their job. And that's incredibly problematic, and we need to acknowledge that and fix that. That's really important to making a DevOps culture function. Number 2, there is a culture of meaningless risk, firing silver bullets versus fixing broken windows at many organizations. Not really sure what that means. Oh, I guess that would mean like if your infrastructure is messing up, instead of doing a firmware upgrade on it just because something small was broken and you could fix it by doing this small thing, you strip out all your infrastructure and get the next price tier of infrastructure. So yeah, that could be a really problematic, like, business destroying thing. Number 3, there are ineffective or meaningless standards of excellence, and there is a general lack of discipline in engineering at many organizations. Yeah, that's just always something that's going to be a problem. You have to have discipline if you want to succeed in anything. For the people who watch my channel, you're already, I would say, hopefully a step ahead of everyone. But I really like this this one YouTuber. And honestly, to be fair, it might be a step behind because YouTube social media is kind of an addictive thing. So there's a weight loss channel, and I guess the channel isn't that important. I like giving credit where credit is due, though. So like if it's a good channel with good information, I like to explicitly call it out and make sure that people know. I like to cite my sources, all of that. So I guess carnivore TikTok if I now before so yeah this channel I think is great. This is somebody who has actually lost a lot of weight, so it's coming from somebody who's been there and done that. And when it comes to discipline, that is something that is involved in weight loss. So this person had great advice for how to establish discipline, and it was in this video here. So the advice is, where can you think in society exists a place that has the absolute number one most biggest quality being discipline? Like if you think of discipline as an entity, where in society can you think of situations that have higher levels of discipline, and where can you think of situations that have lower levels of discipline? So I think the U.S. Army, the military, probably has a pretty high level of discipline. So is there anything, there that can be gleaned there? Is there anything we can learn that? I'm not saying to join the military necessarily, but is there anything we can take from these high discipline areas to learn more about discipline and apply that in our own lives? Yes, there's The Anatomy of Discipline, a monograph by a major in the field artillery in the U.S. Army. So yes, this is where discipline. This is all about discipline. It's 110 pages. I might actually want to read this on my channel because this is kind of that whole way of thinking where, like, okay, let's think of this quantity. Let's think of what we want in our lives that we feel like we don't have enough of, and let's think of that as a quantity, and let's think of situations or organizations where they would have almost too much of that, and let's look into those organizations and see if they have any, if they've thought about that, if they've published anything about that, if they made videos about that. And let's see what they have to say on the subject, because they're the ones who have it in higher amounts. So they're the ones we want to hear from. So yeah, this might be in some of my videos. I might do a video on this later. But military discipline, it might be a little bit different from other kinds of discipline, but I think it is, when it comes to what discipline means, even in a colloquial sense, I think this is probably a good place to go to learn more about how to apply it and abide by it. All right, so that's for another video. For now, I want to finish this up. So the third highest priority issue that can cause your DevOps environment to fail is ineffective or meaningless standards of excellence and a general lack of discipline. So if you want to address that, I recommend reading the Anatomy of Discipline by the U.S. Army. And I'm not necessarily advocating for a culture like the Army or anything like that. I think a culture where, I'm saying that this is a good resource to go over if you feel like your company is particularly falling for the third problem here, which is ineffective or meaningless standards of excellence and a general lack of discipline. Culturally, data has not been used to make decisions. The highest paid person's opinion, yep, I love that. That is perfect. The hippo. Status, aggression, intuition, and possibly even the roll of the dice has been the reasons for the decision. So the key word in hippo, the highest paid person's opinion, is person. Any person, the lowest paid person, the key is you're not taking opinions. You're looking at the data, you're following the data, and you're continuing the actions that make the data go in the good way, and you're discontinuing the actions that make the data change in a bad way. Number 5, true understanding of the concept of opportunity cost eludes executive management. This lack of understanding then trickles down the ranks. Yeah, so this is another thing, and I'm going to pull this up again because I just believe in this so much. So it's the cognitive bias index. This graphic here, we see we've got 4 main problems of the mind. The first problem is that we don't know what to remember. So we discard specifics to form generalities. We reduce events and lists to their key elements rather than understanding it kind of more broadly. So like a problem of that could be the memory inhibition bias. So let's learn about that. Tell me about the memory inhibition cognitive bias.
The concept of memory inhibition refers to a cognitive bias where certain memories are suppressed by the brain, either intentionally or automatically.
Yeah, so you can walk away. This is why 2 people can go to a meeting, and each can walk away from the meeting with a completely different understanding of what the meeting meant. We reduce events and lists to their key elements, and as such, as such, important information can be forgotten. Okay, so another problem is we can get too much information. We notice when things have changed, but we fail to notice things that are always, like, for me, a great example of that would be like failing to clean up more. It's like things kind of don't bother me when they're in their state, even if the state is not an optimal state. So what would that be? That'd be more like a focusing effect. I don't know, but this would be great later. We notice things already primed in the memory, repeated often. That's a big one. There's kind of that phrase: if somebody says something enough times, then it becomes a fact. You can just lie and kind of gaslight people, and eventually they'll start to question their own mind and be like, oh well, I thought this was true, but I keep hearing that it's false. It must be false. And that's the problem of too much information. The mind can only handle so much information at once. So it filters things out, and it is biased towards noticing things all that are continually showing up, towards noticing things that change, towards bizarre, funny, visually striking, or things that stick out more, towards things that we already believe. We don't have to do a cognitively intense process to try to change our beliefs, kind of the myelin sheaths too. We notice flaws in others more easily than we notice ourselves. And then in addition to that, there's also not enough meaning. We simplify probabilities and numbers to make them easier to think about. We think we know what other people are thinking. We fill in characteristics to form stereotypes. And then there's also the need to act fast. To get things done, we tend to complete things we've already invested time and energy into. So the sunk cost fallacy is right there. So, for example, let's say you bought a ticket to something, and you realize that, oh, traffic's going to be a nightmare to get to this thing. If I stay home, I won't have to spend 2 hours in traffic to see this half an hour show. Well, I already bought the ticket. I paid, $10 for the show. I better go see it and sit in traffic. It's like, no, traffic's too bad. You can do something else at home and you'll have a better night. Yes, you will not get the value that you paid for with that $10, but the value of not having to sit in traffic for 2 hours is probably higher than the value you would get for that $10 you spent if you went and saw the show. So yeah, and then there's all kinds of other ones that I don't myself really know about. So I definitely always want to be pulling this up and talking about this because it's important. So the sixth thing that can cause ineffective or bad that can get in the way of a optimal DevOps environment is the need to increase focus on mediocrity over snake oil and bull feces. As senior data scientist Jeremy Howard at Kaggle says. So I'm not sure what that means. Jeremy Howard's a great one. I should be following him. I'm adding that to LinkedIn. I've actually done his Fast AI course. So Jeremy Howard is a important person to follow. And the product he makes is called Fast AI. Yeah, this is him right here. So I'm not following him, which is kind of a problem. So fix that problem, and I'm following him now. And I'll follow his wife as well, Rachel Thomas. I actually kind of prefer the content she creates because it's more she's the math whiz of the two. All right, so there we go. That's better. So the right things can be put in place in a few months in engineering, a ticketing system, code review, testing, planning, scheduling, and more. Executive leadership in companies can agree these are the right things to do, but their actions must match their words. And I need to look at my schedule here. Good. Instead of focusing on execution, consistency, and accountability, executive leadership is often focused on firing silver bullets from a high-powered elephant gun. unfortunately, they often miss every element they shoot at. Executive teams would be wise to learn from these mistakes and avoid the negative culture around these mistakes. Okay, so the mistakes were listed before. There's 6 of them. Instead of focusing on execution, consistency, and accountability, executive leadership focuses on other things that are not as important as that. It's important to focus on execution, consistency, and accountability over anything else, especially these kind of, being promised the world plays upon the weaknesses of the brain, where people are trying to sell you a snake oil product that will solve all your problems, and you won't have to do this hard work that everyone's dreading. That's not the answer to the problem. Sometimes, that is true. Like, penicillin is a miracle drug. Vaccines solved problems really effectively. Nobody has polio anymore, and polio is, oh my god, the iron lung man. This is a polio survivor who died recently. People had to be in these iron lungs because they did not have a vaccine for polio. So I believe that there are actually kind of snake oils or like big, promise the world solutions that are legit. I just think it's rare, and I think a lot of the times like being able to do hard things is a really valuable skill. I think it can be problematic when you're constantly doing something that's hard and you're not getting anywhere, and it's just because you're missing some critical element. So I think it's important to kind of have. Honestly, I would say I disagree with this a little bit. This idea of a culture of meaningless risk. That word meaningless does a lot for me. So I think you have to have a culture of risk in your organization, but it has to be really carefully planned and calculated, and meaningless risk. So like, believing there's a silver bullet solution versus having to do hard disciplined work, and having a culture built around that, just finding the latest trick or secret or special tool to get you ahead. Yeah, that's a problem. You really need to develop a culture of competency, and it says it right there. You need to develop a culture of execution, consistency, and accountability. All right, so now the exercises. What are the core components necessary for a capable team? So this is something I actually wrote down in my notepad file a while ago. So it's it's right here. So there's a book, Teamwork. I think I put it in my GitHub my cart in Amazon. I like to, if I see a book that kind of strikes my fancy, I like to put it in my cart, just so I kind of like bookmark it. I'm not that good at reading books consistently, so unless it's really, really compelling me and I really, really want it, I typically won't buy it because I know I won't read it, but I like to keep track of it. So the key takeaway from the book, the answer to that first exercise is there are 8 characteristics. The first one is a clear, elevating goal. The second one is a results-driven structure. The third one is competent team members. The fourth one is unified commitment. The fifth one is a collaborative climate. The sixth one is standards of excellence. The seventh one is external support and recognition. And the eighth one is principled leadership. All right, so the next exercise, describe 3 areas you could improve as a team member. So let's go back to these 8 characteristics, and let's pick 3 of them that I personally could improve upon. I feel like this is always one that can be improved upon. So I'll star this one because I think sometimes it's it's always a bit tricky to identify that goal. Sometimes your goals have to change. You have to have SMART goals, the SMART goals. So like sometimes your goals can be very poorly defined. So I feel like this is always going to be one for me, because it's and the other thing with that is it's the one that's kind of probably beyond my control in a lot of organizations, unless it was like my own company. So this is the first one for me. Let's try to find two more. So results-driven structure, competent team members, unified commitment, collaborative climate, standards of excellence, external support and recognition. I guess this is another one I'll mark, because this is another one that's kind of beyond my control. It just depends on the organization you're in. And sometimes I feel like I have a problem where I kind of downplay my contributions and stuff, and kind of like don't like to get attention, or like don't think like what I'm doing is significant. I just think it's kind of like the basic expectation. So I feel like sometimes I don't get that external support and recognition, and it can be problematic. So I feel like I always have to make an extra effort to kind of say, this is what I've done, this is why it's important, this is the value I'm bringing, and that's significant and deserves recognition. And then the last one is principled leadership. And I think that I'm going to pick this one as well, because I haven't been in a manager position or really had training for like management. So I feel like I could improve upon this quite a bit if I took some sort of Sigma 6 or whatever, like management course, and kind of focused on that. So these are my three. All right, going on to the next one. Describe 3 areas you excel at as a team member. All right, this one I like better. This will be easier for me. So, let's give these a minus, because these are the ones that I'm lacking in, and then let's assign a plus sign to the ones that I'm excelling in. So I feel like a standards of excellence I definitely excel in. I'm doing this YouTube channel. I'm reading these books extracurricular. I go for certifications. I feel like I could improve on that. I could go on and get a bachelor's degree. I could get a master's, PhD. I could focus on better certifications to get. I could read better books. So I feel like I could improve on that. But I think overall as a whole, I'm doing pretty well at that. All right, so then the next one is a results-driven structure, competent team members, unified commitment, a collaborative environment. Oh man, it's tricky. Yeah, I feel like this is a little bit like not directed towards me too. Like, I don't have a say in like who is hired, or I've never really had. So like, getting competent team members is something I, just kind of am not a part of. But I guess being a competent team member, I excel at. So I'm gonna plus that one. And then the last one that I excel at as a team member, and we've got 3 left here. So we've got a collaborative environment, we've got a unified commitment, and we've got a results-driven infrastructure. I think I do excel at a collaborative environment, because I do my best to keep notes. I do my best to use the tools as they're meant to be used, and I think that helps a lot. Having good notes on things, having updates, showing my work, being able to take feedback, reconsider my positions. I think I'm pretty good at that. So this is my answers here. Let's move on to the next exercise. What is right about all companies in the future? So I think all companies in the future will still be driven by a profit motive. I don't think that's going to change globally for a long time, if ever. So Uh, yeah, that's my answer to that. And let me check with ChatGPT. Okay, so I'm reading a book now, and I'm doing an interesting exercise where I answer questions that the book asks me. So the book is Python for DevOps, and the question I was asked by the book is, what is right about all companies in the future? And my answer is, what is right about all companies in the future is that they will all be driven by a profit incentive. And I think this will be true for the foreseeable future, definitely beyond my lifetime, beyond multiple generations after my lifetime. I think this is a good answer to this question. So evaluate my answer, determine if there's a better answer, show the pros and cons of my answer, act as an expert in companies and the future, and somebody who can predict the future. Act as an expert and evaluate my answer.
Your answer to the question posed by Python for DevOps about what is right about all companies in the future focuses on the idea that they will be driven by profit incentives. Let's evaluate and explore your answer in depth from the perspective of an expert analyzing trends in business and forecasting the future of companies. Evaluation of your answer pros. Historical continuity. Your answer is rooted in a long-standing economic principle that businesses operate primarily to generate profits. This has been the fundamental driving force behind most commercial enterprises historically, making your answer realistic and grounded. Alignment with shareholder theory. The concept aligns well with the shareholder theory in economics, which posits that the primary responsibility of a company is to maximize shareholder value, typically understood as driving profits. Motivation for innovation and efficiency. A profit motive often pushes companies to innovate, improve efficiency, and remain competitive in the marketplace, which can lead to better products and services. Cons. 1. Companies like social enterprises and certain startups focus heavily on these aspects. Regulatory and cultural shifts. In some regions, companies are increasingly expected to operate in a way that balances profit with environmental and social governance (ESG) criteria. This trend can moderate the dominance of the profit motive. Public perception and consumer demand. There is a growing consumer demand for companies to act responsibly and ethically. Companies ignoring this trend might find profitability harder to sustain if public perception turns against them.
That's a good point.
Alternative perspective and more holistic view. An alternative view could consider the multifaceted roles companies might play in the future. This perspective acknowledges that while profit remains a key driver, successful companies in the future will likely need to integrate other motives and responsibilities into their business models. These can include environmental sustainability. Companies might adopt more sustainable practices not just for compliance but as a core part of their business strategy. Social impact. Future businesses might be expected to have clear and positive social impacts, integrating these goals with their business operations. Technological integration. Especially relevant to a book on Python and DevOps, the technological capabilities of a company, including how they use data and automation, can become as central as profit motives. Conclusion. While your answer captures a critical aspect of traditional business operations, the profit motive, it may benefit from considering these evolving trends. The future business landscape is likely to be more complex, where companies integrate profit motives with broader social, environmental, and technological responsibilities. Balancing these factors could define the new paradigm of a successful enterprise in the years to come.
Okay, that actually makes a lot of sense to me, especially with this focus on environmental, like climate change based behaviors. Like, let's say that you're trying to profit and what you're doing is part of that game theoretic situation where you are contributing to climate change, but you are making a profit. So it benefits you, but it does not benefit anyone else. So like, I feel like companies might be more willing in the future to reconsider what they consider is a profit. So like, even if they could make like $1 billion on something, well, it's going to have this unsustainable impact, and that is what is more profitable than the $1 billion. So like, I feel like companies might do that. Like, that makes a lot of sense, that like the profit incentive might be lowered if you define profit as just like the raw collection of money. But I think the overall spirit of profit is more than just like money. It's about like doing something that benefits you. And I think companies will continue to do that. They'll continue to try to benefit the company. But I do think at some point humanity does have to kind of flip a switch in its mind that doing things that only benefit you, especially at the expense of others, is just not sustainable. And in order for humanity to thrive in the future, there will have to be kind of limitations placed on behaviors that don't have an effect that enhances the broader good.
You've touched on a critical and forward-thinking perspective on how the definition of profit and business success can evolve, especially in the context of environmental sustainability and broader societal impacts. This understanding leads to a more nuanced view of what drives companies beyond just monetary gains. Expanded definition of profit, broader value creation. The concept of profit is indeed evolving beyond mere financial gains to include creating value in a wider sense, social, environmental, and economic. This broader perspective is sometimes encapsulated in the idea of triple bottom line accounting, which measures success not just by the traditional financial bottom line, but also by environmental and social performance. Sustainable business practices. More companies are seeing sustainability as integral to their business strategy, not just for ethical reasons, but also because it makes long-term economic sense. For example, using renewable energy sources can reduce operational costs, and sustainable practices can attract new customers and investors who prioritize these values. Game theoretic approaches to sustainability non-zero-sum game. The game theoretic perspective you mentioned is insightful. Business decisions are often seen as zero-sum games. What benefits one party must disadvantage another. However, sustainable practices often lead to positive sum outcomes, where business practices that are good for the environment and society also benefit the company by ensuring long-term viability, improving brand loyalty, and complying with increasing regulatory demands. Corporate social responsibility, CSR. This concept has been integrated into the core strategies of many companies. They recognize that actions benefiting society or the environment can also enhance their reputation and operational efficiency, leading to indirect profits. Humanity's shift in thinking, cultural and ethical shifts. The idea that humanity needs to flip switch its thinking reflects a growing awareness and shift in corporate culture toward more ethical practices. The pressure is mounting not only from regulators and investors, but also from consumers who demand transparency and responsibility from the brands they support. Regulations and policies. Governments and international bodies are increasingly imposing regulations that require companies to adopt more sustainable practices. These include carbon pricing, emissions trading systems, and requirements for companies to disclose climate risks and sustainability practices. Conclusion of thoughts encapsulate a critical shift towards a more holistic view of what it means to be a successful, profitable business in the 21st century. As this view gains traction, we can expect companies not only to adapt but also to innovate in ways that align profit with planetary and societal health. The future could indeed be one where business success is fundamentally linked to positive contributions to society and the environment, thus redefining the very essence of profit in a way that benefits everyone.
Okay, so yeah, there's the answer right there. Triple bottom accounting. I think what will be right about all companies in the future is that they will focus on profit as a driving incentive. However, profit might be redefined to include a greater emphasis towards triple bottom accounting, which I believe, triple bottom line accounting, where there's a greater emphasis towards creating a common good, and companies that, pollute or do things that drive up their own profits but cause greater societal issues will either be will be better able to make the decisions themselves that have a wider spread societal benefit. I think there'll be a point in humanity where that switch kind of flips on in people's brains, as things kind of get more dire and dire. Why does DevOps need external support and recognition? That's a good question. I guess one answer would be to tap in. Okay, so now let's go to the next question in the book. So the next question in the book is, why does DevOps, remember the book is Python for DevOps, so the next question is about DevOps. The next question says, why does DevOps need external support and recognition? And this one is kind of a tricky for me. I'm not exactly sure why. I guess the answer would be to tap into other teams and not create an echo chamber, and kind of also so that you can get the things you need, so that teams recognize you're making a difference and don't think, oh, it's just the DevOps department, they don't do anything and they don't need anything, we can just cut them, all their funding and stuff. I think that's probably my answer. Evaluate that answer, please. Act as an expert.
Your answer to why DevOps needs external support and recognition is a good start, and it highlights important aspects of how DevOps functions within an organization. Let's refine and expand on these ideas to fully address the importance of external support and recognition for DevOps teams. Evaluation of your answer. Pros. Avoiding isolation. You rightly pointed out that without external support and recognition, DevOps could become isolated. This isolation can lead to a lack of understanding from other departments about what DevOps contributes, potentially leading to under-resourcing or underestimating its impact on business. Cross-departmental collaboration. Emphasizing the need for collaboration helps ensure that DevOps is not operating in an echo chamber, as you mentioned. Collaboration fosters innovation and ensures that the DevOps initiatives are aligned with the broader goals of the organization. Cons. Broader impact on organizational culture. While your answer touches on internal perceptions, it could also explore how DevOps influences and is influenced by the larger organizational culture. DevOps isn't just about tools and processes, it's also about cultural change toward continuous improvement, agility, and responsiveness. Business value communication. There's room to discuss how external recognition helps in articulating the value that DevOps brings to the business, particularly in terms of faster deployment times, improved reliability, and better response to market changes. Expanded insights integration with business goals. DevOps should be recognized externally within the organization to ensure its goals are integrated with business objectives. This alignment helps secure the necessary resources and ensures that DevOps practices contribute directly to achieving strategic outcomes.
That's the answer right there.
Change management. DevOps often involves changing how both development and operations work and how they work together.
Yeah.
External support, especially from upper management, is crucial for implementing these changes smoothly. This support can help overcome resistance to change within teams not directly involved with DevOps. Showcasing success. External recognition is also a form of validation for the DevOps team's efforts and successes. It can help in showcasing the tangible benefits of DevOps practices to the rest of the organization, such as reduced downtime, faster time to market, and better handling of peak loads. Resource allocation. As part of getting external support, DevOps teams often need to justify their budget and resource needs. Recognition of their impact can help ensure that they receive the necessary investments in tools, platforms, and training to maintain efficiency and innovation. Conclusion. Your initial thoughts capture key reasons why external support and recognition are crucial for DevOps. To build on these, consider how DevOps integrates with broader business goals, influences organizational culture, manages change, showcases its success, and secures resources. All these factors are vital for ensuring that DevOps is not just maintained as a functional unit but thrives as a critical element of the organization's strategy for technological resilience and competitive advantage.
Okay, yeah, that's a much better answer, especially the view that you need to secure the necessary resources and be aligned with the business goals, and that you're actually contributing directly to achieving the strategic outcomes. It's also really kind of eye-opening to me to see it under the view of change management. You're going to be affecting what a lot of people in the organization do. So you need that external support and recognition so that you can change things in managed and effective ways and not just pull the plug on people who are not ready for that to happen. Now, regarding change management, I want to do a few things in my life. I want to kind of keep a better housekeeping skills, a tidier home. I want to not overeat. I want to manage my weight and be a healthier weight. How can I apply the concepts of change management in my life to make these changes in an effective way? Act in it as an expert, please.
Applying change management principles to personal development and lifestyle changes is a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
Change management in business contexts often involves structured approaches to ensure smooth transitions and successful outcomes, and these same principles can be very effective when applied to personal habits and goals.
Yeah, let's do it.
Here's how you can use these principles to improve housekeeping skills, manage your diet, and maintain a healthier weight. 1. Set clear, achievable goals. Just like in business, clear goals are essential.
Okay.
Define what better housekeeping means for you. Perhaps it's having no dishes left unwashed at the end of the day or decluttering a specific area each week.
Yeah.
For weight management, set realistic and specific goals, like losing a certain amount of weight within a certain time frame or choosing
Right.
healthier meal options 4 days a week. 2.
Counting calories.
Assess your current state and understand where you are right now in terms of your habits and practices. This might mean tracking how much time you spend cleaning each week or logging your daily food intake. Identifying your starting point helps you measure progress and see which areas need the most attention. 3. Plan your changes. Create a detailed plan for how to achieve your goals. Break down large goals into smaller, manageable tasks. For example, you might schedule 15 minutes of tidying up each day or plan your meals for the week every Sunday. Ensure your plan includes specific actions, resources needed, like buying healthy foods or storage solutions for decluttering, and timelines. 4. Communicate and seek support. Just as businesses need to communicate changes and garner support, it helps to inform those around you about your goals. Sharing your intentions can help you receive support and accountability from friends or family. They can remind you of your goals, join you in activities, or even provide motivation. 5.
All right, I'm kind of off track here. This is just like more for my personal channel. And the short answer is I just don't have anyone that I need to impress. So like, why spend all this time doing this stuff? But anyways, let's move on to the challenges. So the first challenge is to create a detailed analysis of your current team using the teamwork framework by Larson and LaFast. So that's this book here. Larson and LaFast wrote this book, Teamwork, What Must Go Right / What Can Go Wrong. So I'm not going to do that because I don't want to discuss any confidential work stuff on this channel. This is just my opinions, so disclaimer. So I'm going to skip that one. I just don't think it's something I want to do right now. So the next one is have everyone on your team fill out anonymous index cards like the show The Office, Michael Scott, and that have 3 positive things and 3 valuable feedback items for each member of your small group. Must have negative and positive outcomes. Get into a room and have each person read the index cards from their teammates. Yes, this does work and can be a life-changing experience for individuals in your team. So I will not be doing that either. And this kind of violates... I could see like doing this online with an application like Mural or what's the other one? There's another really good one. Miro. There's like Mural and Miro. these are like interactive tools online where you can work together. So I feel like this would be a good exercise for that. But the idea of getting together in an office and going in rooms and all that kind of goes against my vision of how I want to keep working in the future. This would be a great online exercise, but this is not something I'd like to do as directed there. All right, so the final part of the book, and then the very final part. This is the last 2 pages of the book that I will read. I won't read the index or the bibliographies or anything like that. So this is the Capstone project. Now that you have reached the end of this book, there is a capstone project that you can build that demonstrates mastery of the concepts covered. Using the ideas explored in the book, create a Scikit, PyTorch, or TensorFlow application that serves out, and I think they meant to say serves out predictions via Flask. Deploy this project to a primary cloud provider, you have to pay for it, while completing all of these tasks. Endpoint and health check monitoring, continuous delivery to multiple environments, logging to a cloud-based service such as Amazon CloudWatch, load/test the performance, and create a scalability plan. So, all right, that's it. I read the whole book. I'm not doing all the exercises in the book. That's just impossible. So anyone watching this, if you want to do the Capstone project, please do. But I will say you probably will have to pay a bit. You can keep your costs pretty low. I only had to pay, I'll probably have to pay like $5 as a result of reading this book and trying to do the exercises for AWS. So you can keep your costs low, but just be aware that you will have to pay if you want to do these examples. And yeah, that's it. I'd give the book probably a pretty low score. Out of 5, I'd probably give it a 2. I wouldn't give it a 1 out of 5 because those interviews were great. I think the first and the last part of the books were pretty good. Out of 10, maybe a 6, maybe above a 5. That's kind of not an equivalent score of a 2 out of 5. But yeah, I don't know. I would give it a pretty mid to low score for this book. But I saw it all through. So we've got the some other sections here I can go through. So the index is the final section. That's it for this whole series. I did it. I saw the whole series through, which is really really cool. So the next video, I don't know. It's I can go on to wherever I want. I've got a lot of ideas. I might do that in another video, but let me see if I can actually mark this from if I can do something to let me create a collection, and I'm gonna name my collection finished reading, and then create that. And now I moved this to the finished reading collection of books. So I have finished reading that book. Let's see if there's some other books that I finished reading. So I haven't finished reading this one. This might be one I can go back and see all the way through. But I think for my next books, and let's create a new collection. So we're gonna create a new collection and say want to read. All right, and now let's add the books that I most want to read going forward. So the first one, the big one here is Machine Learning for Network and Cloud Engineers. But then the next one that definitely belongs to this collection is this head-first design patterns. I think that'll really go a long ways for me. And there are other books. This one's probably a good one. But these are the two I would like to focus on next. So that's it for this whole series. I read the whole book, and stay tuned for more and better things to come. This book, as I said, was like a 2 out of 5. So hopefully we can find a much better thing going forward.